Hi, good morning, lecturer and students. Thank you for being here today. My name is Jay Surya Yadav. My friend name is Fatin Najiagan. We are from Cyber International College, and now we are here today to present to all of you about the flood. Come, let's go. What's the flood? Types of flood. What is a flood? The flooding may occur and the overflow of water, from water, the bodies in which the water overtops or breaks leaves such as river, lake, or ocean accumulation of rain water. Types of flood. Uh, River flood, the flash flood, the rain-fed flood, the tidal flood, the urban flood, the catastrophic flood, and lastly the downstream flood. Introduction: the flash flood is defined as a body of water submerging a piece of land which is normally not being submerged in water, and this phenomenon will subside only after a few hours. The flood, like other disasters, do not qualify to be labeled disasters by the where the nature of them happens that they too becomes a disaster when they cause damage or adverse effects to human lives, livelihoods, and the properties. The floods are probably the widest spread among the various disaster events that occurs in the most countries and causes the most deaths. Floods, like other disasters, have ability to cause the widespread disturbance in communities and the way of life of people in the affected areas. Case of study. The study has been conducted in the Kolakrai town, the Kelantan, which is located in the Batu Mengkebang district. That lies between the longitude 5.31, the 5.307, the north, and latitude 102, the 12.7.2 east. The covers area of 6.9 kilometer with a total populations of 5,273 people. Department of Town Country, the planning 2011. The Kolakrai town is an area with the highest population density compared to other parishes in the Kolakrai district. This is because the town is the administration center and the main business district that supports the state sub-regional center with a limited the function and services. In addition, the town also provided other support services such as the housing, facilities, infrastructures, infrastructures, and recreations. Look at the picture. This case area called a Krai district. Let's see the research methodology. This research is a survey-based study that apply quantitative the method through a questionnaire. The questionnaire. This is because the questionnaire was used to evaluate the loss suffered by the threats in Bandar Kolakrai as a consequence of the floods in the 2014. Research methodology. For example, according to the data from the Majlis Daerah Kolakrai in 2014, there were as many as 324 traders in Kolakrai town. In order to determine the research sample based on the sample size of the number of samples to be taken was 175 peoples at the confident level of as permanent and 5% sampling error. The causes of flooding. The several the several the majlis the major floods have been experienced in the last few decades. decades as far back as 1886. Severe flood in the gale force the once caused extensive damage in Kelantan. The flood is of 1926, supposedly the worst in the living memory in Malaysia, affected most of the peninsular Malaysia, resulting in extensive damages to property, road system, and agricultural land and corporation crops. In the 1967, the distrusses flood the surged across the Kelantan, Terengganu, and Perak river basin, taking 55 lives. The causes of flooding. The flood of the 1926, essentially of the worst for flood the occurrence to be the getting more frequency in recent years, especially in the some cities. High Kuala Lumpur, the flooding the location where rapid progression. The causes of flooding in Malaysia are as the followers. First, the increase the run of the maids due to the urbanization. The second, the loss of flood storage as the result of the development extending into and taking the over the flood plains in damage the condition. Third, the construction had bridges and culverts that are either undersized or particularly blocked by break up or town other the causes. The effect causes of flood. A flood is an overflow of water that submerges land that is usually dry. Floods are in an area of study in the discipline of the hydrology. They are the most common and widespread. The natural severe weather, even the floods can look very different because the flooding that covers anything from the few inches of water to several feet. When the rainfall in the low lying the areas and the urban governments fall faster than the ground can absorb the height rapidly rise, resulting in the floods. The extreme rainfall in a river causes the flooding, as well as water travels over the flow river banks onto the surrounding land. The overall assessment and impact of the floods in Malaysia. The flood that hit this nation in the late of 2021 and early 2022 and caused damage to living, the quarters, the vehicle, the business, the premises. Second, manufacturing and agriculture sector as well as public assets and infrastructure. The overall losses due to the floods recorded around 6.1 billion, which equivalent 0 point percentage as the against normal the gross domestic the product the living the quantities the less where had 1.6 billion, the housing the premises the 0.5 billion, vehicle 10 billion, agriculture the RM 0.6 million, manufacturing 0.9 billion, and public assets and infrastructure 2.0 billion. The value of the flood causes by type or damages. The parties involved in IFM, Integrated Flood Management. Number one, government, ministries, department, and agency. Number two, the flood from the communities. Number three, other basins community. Number four, scientific institutions. Number five, registered NGOs. Number six, voluntary organization. Number seven, the private sector. In a welfare state, the governments have the prime responsibility of the ensuring the safety and well-being of its citizens. The second, the flood management, which is the closely linked to the other development activities in the basin, particularly water resources management, is no expression. The finding discussion. The Geography Information System (GIS) is a system used by many researchers to map that flood hazard mapping, including in the Kelantan. Furthermore, mostly the use department of the Irrigation and Drainage (DID) to create a flood hazard map, and there is a lack of study that uses research data to create a flood hazard map. The conclusion. The conclusion, the research was conducted in the order to review the past work on the flood causes, the effect and the mitigations approach so as to keep people around the river area up to date on how to tackle and control floods, and also how to reduce the impact and if possible to avoid damages. Finally, the main aim was to achieve, and the author hoped that this work will help people and government and in designing appropriate, appropriate flood control measures. And thank you and take care. Bye.